The Prime Minister has been in contact with me. He's on the line right now. Prime Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ray.
I note in your note to me, this is all about Sarah you wish to talk about and getting about funeral. What are we going to try and do if we can do anything?
Well, this is a heartbreaking story. It was brought to my attention early this morning, and so I rang the Premier this morning, and I've appealed to her to overrule a decision that would allow Sarah to go to the funeral today. And to be honest, it's not about borders, it's not about federation, it's not about politicians, it's not about elections. The only thing that matters today is that Sarah can be with her 11-year-old sister Isabel and her mother Myrna while they mourn the passing of their father and husband Bernard at Mount Gravatt today. That's the only thing that matters today. And this is a heartbreaking case. And I know that in Queensland, people support there being borders and all those things. It's not about that today. It's about ensuring that in this case, that Sarah, who I spoke to earlier today, and just to encourage her, that she has the opportunity to go and do that. She's from the ACT. She's a Queenslander, I understand, and she moved to the ACT earlier this year. And sadly, she wasn't able to see her father before he passed. She tried to get up there, but the process to get an exemption to travel took 20 days, I understand. And so she missed that opportunity, and this is her last opportunity to say farewell to her dad. Now, all of us who have been through that process know how important a day like today is. It's still fresh in my mind.
Can I say something to you, Scott?
Yeah.
My dad died 45 years ago, mate. I know your dad passed more recently. It's still in my mind, mate. It's still in my mind. I still remember my dad from 45 years ago like it was yesterday, mate.
Yeah. It was Father's Day on the weekend, and I'm just thinking if Sarah had to go through that day in a hotel in isolation, and there she is today. And look, this isn't about the Premier of Queensland and me or anyone else, and it's just about that. Surely, in the midst of all of this heartache in COVID and everything that everyone's going through, surely just this once, this can be done. It can be done. There's been no COVID cases in the ACT for more than 60 days. I just hope they change their mind. I hope they let Sarah go to the funeral. I've done all I can. There's obviously been discussions between our Chief Medical Officer and raising that with them and health ministers. And I have these conversations with premiers on a range of issues all the time. And I don't seek to make them public. I didn't seek to make this one public. I rang the Premier this morning, and I hope that she'd form a different view. She hadn't at that time. I hope she'll reconsider before 2 o'clock today, Ray. I just think that can say to everybody in the midst of what is an awful year that we can provide at least on one occasion hope to a family who just desperately needs the whole country to put their arms around them today, because their family is like so many others who've gone through the same heartache. There'll be people listening to this call today who have already had to go through this year. And that's just awful. And as long as these types of things go on, then these things are still going to keep happening. But just today, please. That's my plea.
Okay, it's a plea that I join you with. I don't know that we'll get any satisfaction, because this morning in Parliament the Premier's accused you of bullying her, but it's not about bullying. It's about giving a little girl, a 26-year-old girl, some respite from a terrible period in her life. I appreciate your plea, I appreciate your call, and you're a good man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ray. Cheers.
Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, obviously very emotional, and I apologise, I became a bit emotional too. You talk about your dads, and Father's Day just passed. I had the most wonderful Father's Day with my children and grandchildren. My dad never met my children. He didn't meet his grandchildren. He didn't meet his great-grandchildren. This is what Anastasia Palaszczuk said a short time ago.
I will not be bullied, nor will I be intimidated by the Prime Minister of this country, who contacted me this morning and who I made very clear that I would pass the information on to the Chief Health Officer, and it is the Chief Health Officer's decision to make.
I mean, really? Really? Look, he's incapable of bullying people, that bloke. He's incapable of doing it. And I've had some stinks, I've had some stand-up blues with him over the years, but he's incapable of bullying anyone. It's not his go. It's not his go. I mean, for God's sake, Anastasia Palaszczuk, do the right thing. Allow this girl to join her mother and little sister in farewelling Bernard today after she didn't get the chance to say goodbye to her dad, having arrived into Queensland 2 days after his death. It's just the right thing to do. Do the right thing, for God's sake. It's 5 to 11.
Nights.